Hello everyone and welcome to the Grim Tutors, your one-stop shop for all things Magic the Gathering. I'm Colton, also known as Pez.
And I'm Oblivion. So, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about the newest expansion in Magic the Gathering, what that entails, and the new mechanics.
Can we get a yeehaw in the chat?
YEEHAW.
The newest Magic the Gathering set, Outlaws of Thunder Junction, arrives on April 19th, and we are so excited.
Looks like it's going to be a fun set.
A little yeehaw, if you will.
A little yee, a little haw.
A giddy up of a good time.
A real hoedown.
This set is standard legal, but before we get into the mechanics, we would like to preface one thing about the legality revolving standard. You're going to see some cards in your packs that have a expansion symbol that looks like a safe. It'll be on the screen, I'll fix it. And that's going to be the OTP expansion symbol.
And that expansion is like the Wilds of Eldraine Enchanted Tales kind of border guys.
Yeah, it's a bonus sheet called Breaking News. So while you may get these cards in your packs and can play them in limited, those cards are not standard legal unless they already are standard legal.
Another thing that you might see in your booster packs are a set symbol that looks like a vault or like a vault door. This is from the big expansion, which was basically supposed to be Aftermath. Like you know how we got March of the Machines, the Aftermath with like the 7-card boosters and the epilogue kind of thing. That was supposed to be that. They just put them into this set instead of it being its own standalone thing. And then also returning, you have the special guest cards as a star.
And those cards will continue to be legal in any format that they are already legal. So they're just a reprint, they're not a print into standard.
But the big expansion are standard legal. The regular standard set of Outlaws of Thunder Junction, it looks like a cowboy hat, pretty distinguishable from all of the others.
And then the one with the white cowboy hat is the prints that were printed specifically into Commander products, so OTC. And those, of course, are printed into the Commander product directly, so they're not standard legal. So everything standard legal is going to be either OTJ, yellow cowboy hat, or big,
which is the vault,
and the jail cell. Yeah, that's what it is jail cell, the breaking news, or OTP. Those are legal in the formats in which they are already legal. They're just pretty reprints. And then the OTC, or white cowboy hat, is Commander specific printed product. Well, now that we have told you what is here and what's coming, we should let you know about the awesome new mechanics and keywords that Outlaws of Thunder Junction is going to have.
One of the newest things is kind of lumped a group of Magic the Gathering types into an umbrella, and that is Outlaw.
So similar to keywords like party, where if you have all of the things in your party and those are specific creature types, Outlaw is kind of the same thing. An Outlaw is a permanent with one or more of these creature types,
which is assassins,
mercenaries,
pirates,
rogues,
warlocks.
So you're going to see a lot of cards that say an outlaw you control or outlaws you control. So that's any creature that has any of those creature types. Now, most of these are going to be referring to creatures, but there are a couple of kindred sorceries in the mix as well. The next on the list is one that I think is kind of the funniest, and in most cases, some would say the most apropos, which is committing a crime.
Tell me, how do you commit a crime in Magic the Gathering?
If you think about that for about 5.5 seconds.
Is it taking your opponent's deck and running out of your LGS? Was that committing a crime?
I think that's more of committing a real-life crime rather than a Magic the Gathering crime.
Still a Magic the Gathering crime.
You commit a crime as you cast a spell, activate an ability, or put a triggered ability on the stack that targets one or more of the following: targeting an opponent, a spell or ability an opponent controls,
a permanent an opponent controls,
or a card in an opponent's graveyard. If you decide that you want to counter a spell, that's a crime.
You want to wasteland someone's bounce land? Crime. You want to scavenging ooze your opponent's stinky dredge creature in their graveyard? Crime.
You want to stifle an ability?
Crime.
You want to Deathrite Shaman a land out of someone's graveyard?
Crime.
If a spell or ability doesn't target anything on the list, it's not a crime, even if it targets something like an opponent's card in exile or has a sinister sounding name. That would be a felony in many jurisdictions. Once you cast a spell, activate the ability, or put the triggered ability on the stack, the crime has been committed. No take-backsies, right to jail.
Selling sweaters at unreasonable prices, right to jail.
Cast a spell targeting an opponent, right to jail.
Lightning bolt targeting birds of paradise, jail times 2.
Bajuka Bog Graveyard, surprisingly enough, right to jail.
Make your opponent sacrifice a creature, but not target, surprisingly no jail. Not crime.
After the crime has been committed, it doesn't matter whether your counter or whatever has caused the crime to be committed resolves. The crime has been committed.
You still broke into that car.
If you counter someone's spell and it doesn't resolve, the crime has still been committed either way.
Right to jail.
No take-backsies. Next on the list, we have Spree. Spree, I think, is a very cool way for spells to be modal or have different modes that looks a little different than what we've seen in the past. Cards that have the Spree keyword, you're going to find your regular mana cost in the top right hand corner with a little plus sign. So you have to pay the cost in the top right hand corner. And then to receive any of the benefits in the text of the card, you have to pay that much mana as well. You can choose one or all of the different modes, but of course you have to pay the costs for them. So a card like Final Showdown, you're going to see the cost of 1 white mana in the top right hand corner.
But if you just play that for 1 white mana, it does nothing.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
You have to pay one or more of the additional costs that are listed in the text box in order for
the spell to do something.
So if you just want all creatures to lose abilities until the end of turn, on Final Showdown you would pay 1 white mana plus 1 colorless mana. But you could also pay the additional costs to have the other things happen.
Technically, if you wanted to, you could pay 8 mana and have all of those things happen.
Well, it would be 5 colorless and 3 white, but yes. Remember, no matter which mode you choose and which additional costs you pay, the mana value of a spell with Spree is based only on its mana cost. So with the example of Final Showdown, the mana value of that spell is only 1.
Next up, we're going to be talking about mounts and saddle.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. This reminds me a lot of Crew, turning creatures into vehicles, but even if you don't mount or saddle them, they're still creatures?
Right. Creature that's a mount or a creature that has a saddle ability, those are still creatures and they can still attack and block as normal. They just get perks when they mount up or saddle up. So mount is the creature type. That particular creature type, it doesn't really have any specific rules. It's just those are the ones where you're going to find that
saddle.
Yeah, you're going to find that saddle in the text box. If a mount becomes some other creature type, it will still have saddle. And non-mounts can gain saddle effects. Saddle itself is an activated ability that you activate as a sorcery. You have your mount that has saddle. You can tap any number of other untapped creatures to saddle them up to this mount. So again, just like crewing a vehicle, you're going to look at the power of the creature and have those add up to the saddle total.
Gitrog Ravenous Ride has a saddle of 1. I can saddle up my Gitrog with a Mem Knight.
Just like crewing, you can tap any number of creatures to get to that total. As that ability resolves, the mount becomes saddled until end of turn, which doesn't really mean anything other than the bonuses that the mount would get because it's saddled. Like with Gitrog Ravenous Ride, he's a 6/5, and you can smack. But if you saddle him, you get whatever perk that comes from him being saddled.
Next up, we have Plot. I think this new mechanic's pretty cool. It essentially lets you usually pay a cheaper mana cost to put it away for a little bit, and then you get to choose on a different turn to cast it as a sorcery to get its benefit, you know? You plot something for 3, and it destroys a creature, but your opponent doesn't have any creatures yet. Essentially, once your opponent plays a creature and they pass, you can cast that card without paying its mana cost because you plotted it, and you get to destroy their creature, but only as a sorcery.
Yeah, the action of casting the card as a plot and casting the card later for free both happen as a sorcery, and you cannot plot the card and have it cast in the same turn. It has to be on a later turn. So it's kind of similar to Suspend, kind of similar to Foretell, but just a little bit different. And do remember that when you plot them, they go to exile. So if there is some sort of effect out there,
Draenith Magistrate,
that says that you can't cast spells from exile or anywhere from other than your hand, you're not going to be able to cast it for free for later because there's a block of being able to cast things from exile. There's also a new mini game in Commander, which are bounties. I think that these sound really fun, and I can't wait to try them at our next game night. Bounty cards are special additions to Commander decks, so this is only going to be for Commander games. It's giving you like a character to apprehend, like an actual bounty. So if your game includes bounties, all players are going to share a bounty deck, which consists of at least 6 of the 12 total bounty cards. The bounty deck uses no more than 1 of any particular bounty card. The bounties begin on the starting player's 3rd turn. So if you're playing with bounties, they don't come into effect until the person who went first starts their 3rd turn. Each bounty card describes the condition under which a player may capture them and claim their reward. Only the player whose turn it is can claim a reward, and only 1 reward can be claimed per turn. There are 4 different reward levels for bounties, and each bounty uses the same reward chart. If you claim a reward on the turn that bounty was first offered, you make a treasure, which is the level 1 reward. If a bounty goes unclaimed at the end of the turn, the reward level increases until the maximum reward is offered at level 4, 2 treasure tokens and a card. Once you claim a reward, set that bounty card aside. As the next turn begins, then you would reveal the next bounty. If the bounty deck is depleted, there has been a jailbreak, and you have to shuffle all the bounty cards back together to reform the bounty deck, and then you'll try to catch everyone again. So this is kind of like a fun mini game, a fun game within the game that starts on turn 3 of the starting player's turn. The longer that it takes for the bounty to be completed or the criminal to be caught, the higher the reward gets.
That's really neat, actually. It seems fun.
So, like the bounty for the outsider, this says that at the beginning of your end step, if you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand this turn, collect your reward. You know, like if you plotted a spell or something.
Whoa!
What?
Outlaws of Thunder Junction comes out April 19th. Pre-releases April 12th.
If you want to get your YEEHAW on, you can come check us out on Twitch at Grim Tutors MTG on April 10th, which is Wednesday, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where Pez and I will be playing some Thunder Junction as part of the MTG Arena streamer event for early access.
It's gonna be sweet.
Very yeehaw.
Brooding and tooting.
Cutin' and tootin'. If you'd like to support the show, please feel free to head on over to patreon.com/thegrimtutors. You can also check us out on social media at GrimTutorsMTG. Links in the description below are to our Bonfire store, where you can get all of your Tootie Cuties merch, as well as our Creator Corner collaboration with Jank Mats, where you can get your very own Grim Tutors playmat.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We will be in Dallas the weekend of Thunder Junction release, the 19th through the 21st, for Command Fest Dallas, and we'll be getting our YEEHAW on.
We plan to play a lot of Outlaws and Thunder Junction limited events, including, I think we're going to try our hand at our very first two-headed giant game. So if you would like to come on down and saddle up for Texas, you can head on over to coolstuffevents.com and you can grab a badge for yourself. Come on, hang out, play some games, grab a cowboy hat.
Come on down.
The water's fine.
There's a snake in my boot.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.